All right.
Welcome back. It has been a while, ladies and gentlemen. It is great to be back. I'm really excited. We have a few topics to talk about today, but first and foremost, I want to send a nice congratulations to Luke. Today is 1 year of graduating basic from the Air Force. As we know, we support the troops,
Yeah.
and so yes, thank you for your service and congratulations, Luke.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it, Nate. How we feeling?
We're feeling good, man. It's gonna be a great week, a great season, and a great year for fighting. Well, I hope so. Last year was pretty decent. There were some cards that were meh, and then some cards that were, in my opinion, spectacular. So, yeah, I'm really confident about this year. Really hoping that it puts out what it's saying that it's going to put out. And yeah, so
Yeah, I'm excited too. I think that 2023 has a lot of potential. It can either go up, it could go down. We saw there were some highs, there were definitely some lows
absolutely.
of last year.
So
Will
let's
the not only the UFC but the fighting fan base in general.
yeah, yeah, I feel like it kind of grew maybe. I don't know. And thing about this, man, I feel like it kind of grew to, especially in our vicinity of friends. I feel like more and more people showed up to the pay-per-view watch parties, and that is with a year without McGregor.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think about it, I believe UFC is really on the move, and same with other fighting leagues, especially. Well, we're gonna get into a topic here in a little bit about the PFL. So anyways, we're going to start off with Khabib. So Khabib has announced that he wants to step away in 2023 from coaching a little bit. So let's think about this. He's got kids. I actually learned that today. I had no clue, because I know how strict the Islamic religion is with how family works and whatever. But he has kids, that is true, and he plans to step away. But for how long? Do you actually believe that he's going to step away forever, or is this going to be temporary?
I don't think it's going to be forever. I do think it will be temporary. And before I roll into this, um, he does have a kid. Hasbullah is his son, isn't it? But no. In all seriousness, I do see him stepping away for a while, maybe the year. I don't see it being permanent. I just think that he has too much of a stamp on um, mixed martial arts and
Too
sambo and
many
all kinds
people
of
need
stuff.
him.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, however, I do think that he will step away for the rest of this year at least, and I'm excited. I'm ready to see what kind of impact that puts on Islam whenever he fights Alexander Volkanovski in March, I believe.
Well,
Um,
yeah, and think about it this way. After, his dad wanted him to become champion, he did that. His dad wanted him to take Islam to the top, and so he did that. There's not a lot more to prove. However, the MMA community really, I truly believe, does kind of need Khabib in the sense of mentorship. But like I said, he's got family. Maybe he wants to work some grappling with his kid. I don't know.
mhm.
That just depends.
No, yeah, I don't know. I think that it is going to put a little bit of a. It's going to take a toll on Islam, I believe, because if you watch all of Islam's fights, everything that Khabib tells him to do, he does. Khabib knows. Khabib is. I mean, you know just as well as I do. He is such a master of the craft, right? So he
Yeah.
knows exactly what to do in that octagon when those doors shut. And I'm not gonna say I'm not saying that Khabib will not be prepared when they fight in March, but take somebody that you've trained with, you've let coach you. I mean, we wrestled our whole lives. You take somebody that you put your full trust in, you put all this work in with this coach, and then they switch it up and take that coach away from you, or that coach decides to back down. I mean,
Yeah, well, I was about to say you had that for 4 years.
we had that in high school when we wrestled, and it did take a toll on us. I mean, obviously not as drastic as this,
Yeah, because
but
you do, and I mean, as your high school career, any kind of career goes, you tend to get better and more used to things. But if that one coach stayed with you all those 4 years, do you think you would have been better? In that
I
kind of
do.
sense.
And you look at that, and you look at it this way. I mean, you have I'm going to take West Virginia wrestling for example. I know that maybe a lot of some of our viewers might not get this, but I know that you will get this 100%. Look at the powerhouse in West Virginia. You have Parkersburg South is the powerhouse in the state of West Virginia. Ever since I moved back to West Virginia from Pennsylvania in 2015, they have had the same exact coaching staff. This coaching staff not only builds these wrestlers, but they build chemistry, they build relationship with each other. You can't work as a team, you can't work as a coaching staff. I've coached wrestling, I've coached youth programs, everything. If you cannot communicate and you can't work together as a coaching staff, there's no way that you can develop and mold a program to be how it is. That's why I think the Parkersburg South is as successful as they are.
Right.
Do they? I mean, do they funnel these kids, and then by the time they get to high school, they've been together? But that coaching staff at Parkersburg South is top notch, second to none.
Right. Yeah. I feel
So
it's just relationships are everything, really. Even if it's love hate, you get
absolutely,
used to somebody. Yeah, and that's with anything, you get a relationship, you get out of a relationship, things are different. And not to
absolutely.
get all personal and everything, but I mean, really, relationships matter. So we're gonna go ahead and transition to the next topic, which is John Jones. We're not gonna spend long on this one because this is just kind of like a yes or no thing. Does John Jones come back in 23? And if so, who do you think he fights?
I'm gonna say yes. I do think he comes back, but I don't know how. There's been speculation that Francis Ngannou is now a free agent. He's not in the UFC anymore. How true is that? What are the sources? I've seen it all over the place. How credible are they? Who knows? There's only one. There's only probably a handful of people that know if Francis Ngannou is going to come back, and that's him and his team. John Jones, I do not see fighting anyone outside of Francis unless it's against Stipe Miocic for the title. But counteracting that, does Stipe Miocic deserve the title fight right off the bat? Look at all of the up and coming UFC heavyweights. I mean, we have Pavlovich, we have Cyril Gahn. Cyril Gahn hasn't lost to anybody in the UFC that is not named Francis Ngannou.
Right. Yeah.
Why don't you give him the title shot?
I
I
would
did
say
see
that would be the better thing. But when it comes to views and pay-per-view buys, is it going to be Miocic over Gone, or is it going to be Gone over Miocic?
that's
Really?
the thing, and there's no telling about that. But from a businessman's standpoint, if you're a businessman, would you rather set one of the greatest fighters in the world of all time up against a
One
killer
of the
in Cyril
greatest.
Gahn, or somebody that's maybe on the downslope that still has that name, still has that brand behind his name, and Stipe Miocic that would sell a million pay-per-view buys? And I think it's a no-brainer. You have to do Stipe and John Jones regardless of when it is. It can be an international fight week in Vegas. That is going to sell more pay-per-views than Cyril Gahn and John Jones.
Yeah, I believe, I agree. I'd have to say that we know. I mean, really, John Jones by himself is going to get a lot of pay-per-view buys, in my opinion. I feel like just the return, it just that's out of question, in my opinion. But would you want to get that extra 500,000, or do you want to get beyond that? You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So
No, I
it
think
really just adds up.
and I think that's the difference. I think that's the difference in John Jones and Conor McGregor. I think that when Conor came back and fought Cowboy, he still broke records for pay-per-view buys, but it was because of his name. Do I think John Jones can still sell pay-per-views without it being against a headlining name such as Francis Ngannou or Stipe Miocic? I do, but I don't think that he can do what Conor did and still break
I don't
all of
think
those records.
anybody can do what Connor did
That is
for a while at least.
that
For
is true.
people who were saying
But
Patty can do it, go fuck yourself.
no, you definitely can't do that. But enough of my opinion. What do you think about John Jones's return in 2023?
I say give him whoever the hell he wants. I'm not going to say that he necessarily deserves it, considering he's going to be in a different weight class. And as you and I both know, when we go to different weight classes, it's a different feel. But at the same time, I mean, John Jones has a built-in name that truly is probably. I mean, at that point, they're going to give whoever he kind of wants. So, who would I rather see? I rather see Gone, in my opinion. But people know Miocic more than Gone, I'd say, maybe, because it goes back because Stipe's been fighting longer, right? But is Stipe still in his prime? I don't think so. And that's just because of his last fight, which was with what, Ngannou? I mean, he hasn't. Hell, we've been talking about how Francis hasn't fought in a long time. Hell, Stipe hasn't fought in a freaking long time. So I don't know. I feel like the best fight for Jones is going to be Gone, but knowing how business works, it's probably going to be Miocic. And if not, I mean, I don't know. It's going to be
Could we see?
somebody in the
Could we
top
see?
five, in my opinion.
Could we see Daniel Cormier coming back out for Jones and
Shit.
DC versus for Jones and DC? What 3? I mean,
No,
I don't see it happening. But hey,
no.
anything can happen. The offer's always on the table.
Hmm.
So before we roll into this next subject, I'm just gonna ask you one question. You can ask me the same thing. What if you are in that matchmaking meeting and you can pair John Jones up with one person, who's it going to be?
I imagine you're talking about the heavyweight division.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Gone. And that is because I believe, and I know that Ngannou, well, I would say Ngannou, honestly, but if Ngannou's still a free agent, let's say Ngannou's out of the question. Okay, let's say that he doesn't sign this, he wants to go fight Tyson Fury or something. I'd say Gone would be the best option. I feel like Gon's grappling. I feel like like I said, I think Gon's grappling is better than what he showed against the Francis Ngannou fight. Just because I feel like he just trained striking that entire camp because his whole entire team thought, yeah, Francis Ngannou is going to come in there and try to knock your socks off. You know what I mean? So we got to work on this. There's so many different stipulations that go into it. I think Gon has better grappling than what we saw last fight. And he barely even grappled against Ty, but Ty doesn't grapple like whatsoever. That's just stand up. So that was kind of like a give me stand up knockout thing.
Mm.
So I think Gon's the best thing. Maybe what's his name? Pavlovich. Maybe that guy is shown to be really good, but I don't know. I don't know.
That's interesting.
I feel like you would say Pavlovich, though. Maybe not. I don't know.
No, so I'm actually going to throw a ball from left field, and I'm going to say that I would like to see John Jones fight Curtis Blades. I think that would be a good fight.
Because of Curtis's takedown ability. Okay.
Kind of on the same level as Cyril Gahn. Does that sell the big pay-per-view like Stipe or Francis would? No, but I do think statistically, matchmaking wise, I would put those two together. If he wants a tune-up fight before a title fight, not looking likely right now because if it's vacated, they're gonna obviously give it to John Jones. But I'd like to see him and Curtis Blades go at it. And Curtis is on a hot streak right now. I mean, you got to, give it to him.
Yeah, I agree. No. That's still a top 10 fight, you know what I mean? Like this is a top
Absolutely.
10 ranking guy. And I mean, we watched him live. Dude's a freaking hammer. So moving on to the next subject, and this is going to be kind of a little bit touch and go, kind of a touchy subject, but let's talk about Dana White. So we know what was it, last weekend or weekend?
New Year's Eve, I
Yeah,
believe.
New Year's Eve. Everybody's seen the video. There's nothing to it. I mean, we all saw what happened. Do we condone it? Absolutely not. That's a pretty much a give me. Um, but he was in an interview. He sat down and talked to people, and he, in my opinion, had a pretty decent response. It went somewhere along the lines of, back in so and so many years ago, you said that anybody who hits a woman cannot come back from that. And so he went and said, yeah, I still stand by that, but at the same time, he believes that there is no way to come back from that, but he has dealt with the consequences back home and through the business. So he has literally said that. That's not quote unquote, but that is what I got out of the interview that I saw. So what do you think about this? And does he step away from the UFC? That's a bigger thing.
Okay. Well, I was watching an interview of him, and basically what he had said was, I guess there's a few California representatives that want him to step away or whatever, and he told everybody. He said, "What does that do? What does that do?
Yeah.
It doesn't do anything but hurt the company, right? I mean, this guy's been at it for however many years, so over 20 years,
And he knows the
running
fights to
company,
make.
running the company." He said the biggest punishment is the punishment of having to remember that I did this for the rest of my life. That's the punishment that he's going to have to hold on to, and that's a worse. In my opinion, that is a worse punishment than having to give up the business. He's still going to be able to live. He's still going to live fine. He's still going to do this, that, and the other.
You still got a
And
ass load of
honestly,
money,
and
you know?
honestly, I don't want to touch into this too much because obviously I have a very very significant job and I am a significant figure, so I don't want to say anything out of pocket that could maybe get heads turned towards me. However, back in the day, if there was an issue with something and it got resolved at home, it was done. It was over with. Dana White and his wife have talked about it. They've came to a conclusion that it happened. They were both in the wrong. It shouldn't have happened. They've apologized. Everything is cordial at home. I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm not saying it's going to be perfect. But whose whose problem is that? It's nobody's problem but them. At the end of the day, they lay their heads on the same bed, right? And we don't have any affiliation with them other than, oh, we're a UFC fan.
Right. We
We're
don't we
just
don't live in
attacking
their
we
household.
are just attacking this because he is a public figure who happens to be famous and makes a lot of money. That's how it is in today's society. That's why the youth that's growing up right now really has to watch what they say, because here in 20 years, if they want to run for president, they're like, well, look what you said back in 2021 of you calling this person blah blah blah, or you saying this about this person. It's going to be a dangerous world that we live in. I say it's dangerous right now, but
Yeah, so I
y'all
mean, social media is a thing, man. Digital footprint is a huge deal, and that's not
absolutely,
only just for public figures, but I mean, like even if you're trying to apply to a job,
absolutely.
people like they see that crap. So I mean, so
But ultimately, to answer this question of just final answer, I do not think that he steps away from the company. If he steps away, he's going to have to be removed.
yeah,
He's not going to step away, but if he is forced to step away, obviously he will. I don't see it happening.
yeah, and moral of the story, guys, just watch what you do. I mean, really, It's all you can do at this point. So, very small next subject. I want to touch on it for maybe like 2 minutes. Okay, how many wins Jake Paul getting in the PFL since he just signed? Realistically, in his current contract, which lasts however many years, I don't know.
I don't know. I think it's fight based. I don't know how many years. I don't know how many fights is on it. I do think he wins in the PFL. I do. They did make that new division for him, and I think that that's part that kind of had me feeling some
Yeah,
type of way.
that's a
We
little
we
suspicious.
touched on it a little bit. I mean, you put him in the UFC middleweight division. I don't see him succeeding. But in this new show, like whatever it is, headline division or whatever it's called, I haven't really looked into it. He's gonna fight Nate Diaz. I don't know if he boxes him or if he fights him in MMA. And I've already given you my opinion on this. I think he beats Nate. I really do.
Yeah.
Just because we've seen Nate the past 2, 3 fights, he fights when he wants to fight, and he sits across. He sits on the edge of the cage whenever he doesn't want to fight. And with somebody like Jake Paul, who's young and he's aggressive, he's hungry, and he trains. He does. He trains, and he first coming from somebody that used to do YouTube and make Vine videos. He trains and he's gotten better. And whether the fights were with a 40-year-old retired MMA fighter, these guys are still professional fighters and they're mixed martial artists. So they have to have at least a little bit of boxing to stay alive, unless they're Ben Askren. But I mean, you at the end of the day, you have to have a little bit of skill. I don't know if Jake Paul has the skill for MMA right now, but I know he has the drive and I know he has the heart. And this is probably going to make a lot of people mad, but I'm excited for it. If he succeeds, he succeeds. If he doesn't,
It's
I mean,
definitely a good move by the PFL. I mean, really, like signing him. With an upcoming company, you want to get guys like this, that are headlining media.
mhm.
All right, so final topic. Here we go. Fights in 2023 that we want to see. Just give like, 4 or 5. I mean, just some headliners, or anything specific, really.
Okay. We'll just alternate if you want to.
Yeah.
That way you have a little bit of time. I know I can think of some just off the top of my head, but I'm sure there's a few that I can dig a little bit deeper in the well for. I'm gonna start off. I'm gonna be basic. At some point in 2023, before the ball drops at New Year's in December, I want to see Cheeto and Sean too. I think that. I mean, Sean says, yeah, Cheeto deserves it. I mean, obviously Cheeto deserves it. He already beat you, but I think that Sean deserves the rematch. I would love to see it for an interim title fight if Aljo is
Bicep
out,
bent hill. That yeah.
if his bicep or if he's still injured. I would love to see that. I think that they both have deserved it, and yeah, I'd like to see that. I'd like to see Sean and Cheeto.
Well, I'm gonna go right back in the bantamweight weight class, man, because I was getting ready to hit Sean right there. Maybe if they spread this out a little bit, Sean can get 2 fights in the year. I want to see him and Marab. I think that is going to be a pretty decent fight. I've already said that I've wanted to see Marab and Aljo and how that would work with training camps and everything, considering they're partners. Um, but at the end of the day, would I like to see Cheeto more than Marab? Yeah, probably. I mean, that's kind of like a given. I feel like there should be definitely a rematch. And now that we just witnessed Sean a few fights ago end up taking over Jan's spot, I believe that there needs to be a rematch. And do I know what's going to happen in that rematch? No, but I want to watch it. Yeah. So go ahead.
So the next fight that I want is going to be at 170 if Hamzat can make it. Right, we talked about this earlier, but I would like to see Hamzat and Shavkat Rakhmonov fight. They're both undefeated, right? They're both up and coming. Shavkat, I mean, for as good of a fighter he is, and I know that he can't speak English, he's got a following on Twitter and he's got a personality. And he likes he likes to interact with the fans. I think that they could sell some numbers if you put him maybe co-main on a pay-per-view.
Yeah, I'm going to take it down a weight class, and I think they kind of have started to hint at it. I don't know if it's final yet, but I want to see while Islam is fighting Volk, I want to see Oliveira and Dariush fight. I think that that's a very decent fight. We watched Dariush absolutely dominate a few pay-per-views ago, and then watched Oliveira get beat. So I feel like Charles needs to not necessarily earn his way back up there because I mean, really, he earned his way a long time ago. But at the same time, I feel like that could be maybe a co-main event for, uh, I don't know, maybe a main event. I mean, that's gonna a co or a main event, something along the lines, either a headline, whatever. I think that's gonna be a very good fight. And I feel like and they're starting to aim for it. That is true. We saw some Twitter headlines talk about it, but is it? We don't know until that paper's signed. So
Yeah, that's a good one. Another fight that I want to see, not really not a like a mainstream fighters, but it is a fight that I've been thinking about, and it's like, oh, that might be a good idea. I want to see Raul Rosas Jr., the 18-year-old Mexican fighter. I want to see him fight Ricky Simone in the bantamweight division. Both of those guys have fireworks. Both of them can put your lights out. Both of them can grapple. I think that would be a good fight.
yeah, I'm going to give some love to the ladies real quick. We're gonna go down to the women's division, and you know how we're the men's division where we've got Volk and Islam fighting. I want to see maybe this is just kind of like a long ball kind of thing, but I want to see Valentina and Wei Lee go at it, man. I feel like that would be a fun fight to watch. Both of them have shown that they throw punches 1,000 miles an hour, Uh, but how would that work between both of them? How would that work if Zhang were to bump up? Or I don't see Valentina cutting down. She's a bigger girl in my opinion for that weight class. If you see her compared to other fighters,
I've seen
she's a
her
little
fight live.
taller.
She's big.
Yeah. So you know how big she is. I don't
Mhm.
see her cutting down, but I would like to see Zhang maybe or however you say it. That's my
Mhm.
bad. But Whaley uh, maybe bump up and fight Valentina. I feel like that'd be a good money fight. I feel like that would be, I mean, really, and I feel like that would. We saw Ronda and Amanda Nunes both build women's fighting. I feel like that's
Mhm.
even going to take it to another level, in my opinion.
No, I think that's a good. I think
Both
that's
are
a good
very
fight.
popular fighters. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I think that could. I mean, if there's a women's fight that could headline, I mean, we saw it last year in New
Absolutely.
Pennsylvania. I think that Valentina and Zhang Wei Li for the double Zhang Wei Li going with that double champ status. I think that yeah, I think they could headline a pay per view. So what was the one that I wanted? Oh, I'm gonna go to the welterweights, 170. I want to see Kevin Holland and Jorge Masvidal fight. I think that would be a good fight. I think if you put it on a pay per view and have a press conference, I think they would go crazy with it. And I mean, they're both kind of similar. They have really good striking. I think Holland will have the edge on the ground with the grappling, but I just would like to build up to the fight. Ultimately, I think that it would be a really good build up to the fight.
Yeah, and the reason why we haven't seen Jorge fight in a long time is because he's still dealing with some core issues. He stated that on Instagram. But whenever, you know, whenever that gets fixed, you know, who knows? We'll see. I feel like that'd be a good fight as well. So,
Okay.
well, that's all I'm good with the predictions, man. That's what I want to
Yeah,
see.
I've got one more. This is more so for the fans, but I do want your input on it. What would y'all think about Brandon Moreno and Figueroa to fight for a fifth time? Would anybody want to see that?
What after the fourth?
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean,
honestly, why
might
not?
even
I
get
mean, I feel like if Moreno wins that one, maybe if Figgy wins, I mean, that's kind of
if I wanted to throw one out, I'd want to see Pantoja get the winner of that no matter what for the title.
yeah,
I think he's going to be next in line for sure.
yeah. I have to agree with that.
Yeah. But with that, do you want to do picks for next week, the pay-per-view fight?
Sure, let's do it. How many fights you want to do?
We'll just do the main card. That's fine.
Okay. So first we've got let's see, match 5. All right, so we've got Umar and I don't know how you say Barcelos.
Wait, are we doing Teixeira and Hill, or are we doing the fight
Oh, I
night?
forgot. No, my bad, my bad. I forgot. We're not doing fight night. My bad. You're talking about tomorrow. Yeah, that's my bad. So obviously we've got the Teixeira and Hill. So we've got Paul Craig and Johnny Walker.
Okay. Do you want to go ahead and start it off there? You
Yeah,
can go
I
ahead and go all
feel
the way up, and then I'll work back.
I think Paul Craig takes this. Just because I mean Johnny got a win after getting beat by Jamal Hill, right? Yeah, that was later on last year. But I feel like Paul Craig is gonna probably put some damage. I don't know how I feel about Johnny's chin. There's just some questions there. So then we move up to Jessica Andrade, however you say it. My bad, guys. I fucking suck at pronunciation. And then Lauren Murphy. And we've seen Lauren Murphy, haven't we? Have we? Was she fighting in Columbus?
I
Maybe.
don't think we saw Calderwood.
Okay, yeah, my
We saw
bad.
Jordan
I get
yeah.
some of them mixed up, but either
No,
way, I
yeah.
got Jessica winning that. I she's just kind of in her own tier, um, right below Valentine and everybody else. Well, actually, just below Valentine in my opinion. I think she'd beat Santos, but that's just my opinion. Then we got Neil Magny. We watched him fight, and Gilbert Burns. It doesn't look that close than what I think it's going to be. I feel like it's going to be close, but I think it might be a split decision, in my opinion, of Gilbert Burns just barely edging him. Neil Magny, we've seen him. He's a really good fighter. So that's just my opinion. And then we get to the final two. And I know that me and you are going to have differences on the um, main event, but let's go ahead and go flyweight. Figgy and Moreno. This is really hard, but I'm gonna say Figgy takes this one. I don't know why. Something in my gut just tells me that if I were to place a bet on one of them, which I don't bet, but if I were, I'd place it on Figgy. And both of the odds are very close. It's a negative 115 to a negative 105 for Figgy over Moreno. I think Figgy takes that. And on the last one, the main event, Teixeira and Jamal Hill. Jamal Hill, amazing striker. We know this. And then you've got the BJJ, just powerhouse grandpa going to the retirement home, Glover Teixeira. I think Teixeira takes this one. I know you're going to say different. That's fine. And those odds are also very slim, with a 105 over or plus 105 to a negative 125 for Jamal Hill. But I think everybody bets against Teixeira. I don't know why, but I think Teixeira wins. Unanimous decision. I don't think this is going to be any kind of knockout or any kind of submission. I think Teixeira just takes him to the ground. All right, Luke, give me this. Give me the main card in 5 minutes.
All right. So I'm gonna start with Paul Craig and Johnny Walker. Johnny Walker won against Ian Cutelaba a couple months back. I think it was submission. But I'm gonna have to say Johnny Walker is probably gonna come away with this. And I love Paul Craig. I love his fighting style, but I don't love his fighting style, but I love his his ability to come back from these fights always down. He's the only person to beat Magomed Ankalaev, so I mean you got to give him credit where credit's due. And then Lauren Murphy and Jessica Andrade, yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I think that
She's on a
Andrade
different tier.
she's just a different tier, and she actually did move down, so she's actually in Zhang Weili's weight now. So I think that if she wins this, I think she'll probably get the title fight. She get the title fight wherever she wants to go, really. Next up, Gilbert Burns, Neil Magny. I love the money on Neil Magny. I mean, you take a bet on Neil Magny at plus 300. That's going to pay out pretty well. And
Yeah.
honestly, I mean,
That's a closer fight than people. Like I
forget
said, that's a
about
closer fight.
forget about the betting. I mean, if Neil Magny's chin can hold up, I think that he wins the fight. I really do. His takedown defense is pretty good. Obviously, he got matched up against Rachmanov, and that's inevitable. But I think Neil Magny has the opportunity to beat him, but in Brazil, it's going to be a little difficult. But yeah, I'll go ahead and put Neil Magny. That's fine. Next up, Figueiredo and Brandon Moreno. You know me, when I went to 279 in Dallas, I couldn't decide who I wanted to root for, whether it was Kai Car France or Moreno. Eventually, I ended up picking KKF, and it was looking good until that liver shot. But I'm gonna stick with my boy Moreno. I mean, I know it's in Brazil and everything, but I would just love nothing more than for Figgy to get knocked off his horse. That's really all I have to say about that one. Then rolling into the main event, I will give you guys a pick. However, I am going to give you guys some scenarios really quick. Jamal Hill, if he gets it done, it's going to be early. He has to get it done early. Yes, he did fight well against Thiago Santos. However, he did give up a lot of takedowns. If you give up a lot of takedowns against Glover Teixeira, you're not getting up. You're not getting up from that. I mean, yeah, he got up. Jamal Hill got up from those takedowns from Santos, but I mean, if you have somebody like Glover Teixeira who knows how to stay on your back and knows how to fight you, like he does, it's going to be difficult to be able to keep a gas tank and keep your stamina high whenever you're constantly trying to work back up to your feet. I think Jamal Hill does finish him, and I do think that he finishes him early. That's going to be my prediction. But if he doesn't, if it goes over 1.5 rounds, I see Glover winning, either late submission or winning by decision.
All right. Well, I think that concludes everything. I wish we kept a tally on how many wins our predictions got.
We can go back and check, but that would be pretty neat.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to do a lot of statistical work right there, but yeah. Anyways, Luke, it's great having you back. Great having us back.
Always great, man.
We're gonna release another one again whenever that's gonna be, with our schedules and everything. But yeah, like I said, congratulations, 1 year. Thank
Appreciate
you
it, man. Thank you for the jerky.
Yes, of course. And yes, and we will see how this weekend with Sean Strickland goes, and we will see the next weekend. So, all right. Peace.
Peace.